So here we are. I'm with Jill Levers, the co-founder of Mother Gaia, the retreat center that is actually in Pucallpa, Peru. It's an Ayahuasca retreat center. Thanks for being here, Jill. How you doing?
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
So, I mean, my main question really, and I'm sure everyone else is thinking, is why do this? Why actually set up a center in the middle of the jungle?
Yeah. Well, it was a really inspiring adventure that I chose to take. And so it was 10 years ago that I made my first trip to the Amazon jungle. And I had heard about ayahuasca a few months before then. I was at a sweat lodge. And for some reason, I hadn't heard about it before, although I'd been working with other entheogens. Mm-hmm. And then I heard about ayahuasca, and bam, it was just like, that is what I need to do. It was like a calling, and it was so strong. And I'd been dealing with a lot of depression in my life before that.
How old were you at this time?
So I was 29.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I was 29 years old. So, to backtrack a little bit, my, I had an average childhood, like I felt like it was normal. Although as I got older and into high school and graduating high school, it didn't feel right. Like society, what we now call the matrix, like I could tell that it wasn't natural. Like just things were not right. And when I went to university is when I really started experimenting with more entheogens but also I was doing a lot of partying too, and just kind of exploring all angles of that. And I really got into Carlos Castaneda at that time in those books, and so that really opened the door to shamanism for me, and really what personal power really means. So just led my life through my 20s, just drinking a lot, smoking a lot, doing some fun things, but I could also tell, it wasn't serving me anymore. And I did have that innate, interest in the cosmos, in the divine, and in shamanism. And so I was creating my own path. I was doing yoga and, just reading a lot of spiritual books at the time. So I felt like I was soaking it in intellectually, but it wasn't until I really, started this path with ayahuasca to where I could really feel these things, with my own spirit. And so when I was 29, I came down to the Amazon, and I came with a couple of good friends of mine, and we did a trip downriver. So we left the Port of Pucallpa and went down a river for 9 hours and ended up camping in 3 different spots and just did ayahuasca outside with nature in heavy mosquito season, shall I say. So, I didn't know what to expect. It's like you can hear a little about it, you can do your research, and even, 10 years ago, there wasn't really much online.
How did you even find it? Yeah.
So the gentleman that led the sweat lodge, he did trips down here.
All right.
And he took his guests, and so we were part of that group.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, and...
So he brought you down, or you just organised it?
Yeah, he organised the group.
All right, and then you came down, but you weren't in any building or nothing, right? It was just real primitive.
No, we just, they set up a big mosquito net for the guests, but we were all just kind of crunched in there like this. There wasn't much room to lay down.
Space
there was no bathrooms. There was, and they're just like, well, if you got a purge, go find a spot to do it, and... hopefully you'll find the toilet paper on your way out.
Man.
So it was really hardcore, that experience for me. And after the first ceremony, I was like, nope, not doing this again. It was really difficult, and the only way I can describe it was like a bad acid trip. And I didn't, have any other framework to really know what was going on. I just felt like there's a lot of heaviness, a lot of energy being, I felt like Mother Earth was taking all this energy that wasn't serving me. But it was just like, I was just plastered to a mat and couldn't move all night long. And it was just, I felt like I was in this deep, dark space and didn't really know how to get myself out of that.
And that being your first one, I mean, you have no idea what's going to happen, for the next one. So you really don't want to even do that.
So I had my hesitation going into the second, but of course, it's like you wake up and, you start your day and then you're like, okay, no, I came down here for this, so I'm going to do it. And we had gone to a different camping spot, and then, so that night, and we started brewing our own medicine that day too, which was a really special experience. So we just got to be that much closer with the spirit of the vine. So that night, was our second ceremony, and I literally ended up in the jungle, like deep jungle, because there was no real. I walked off. I had never even done a cleanse before this, and she cleaned me out that night. And I was purging out all ends that night, and I was just in the jungle and had the most powerful experience of my life, that night, and had visions, just a lot of the kaleidoscope, geometric visions, saw some of my own demons that I had been dealing with all my life, just really facing issues and just seeing on such a huge, like perspective of my life. And it was that night that I really understood how it was medicine. Because like every time I would purge, I could feel something that was holding me back leave. So it was like, this is real. And I even get goosebumps thinking about it now. It was like in that moment, I just knew that I found the lucky ticket. I found what was saving my soul at that point. And so I kind of had, a subtle vision about me bridging this medicine for others. I was like, if it can do this for me, wow, what it can do for the world, and anyone that's willing to do this work and have that courage and strength to do it. So, but it was such an intense night, so powerful. And, maybe ceremony lasted 6-7 hours. I felt like I was in it for 30 hours. And, of course, there's your sense of time and space is completely different in those times, in those spaces. But, and then had our final third ceremony the night after. And again, I'm feeling really hesitant to go into it. Wanted to back out, but then I was like, nope. Again, I didn't come down here to wuss out. Like, I'm doing this. And took a dose, asked for a smaller dose, had that hesitation. Of course, like, I could tell other people in our group were going deep into their experience. I'm like, okay, I need to take that second dose. So I asked for that, and it was that night why this place exists today.
Really?
And went through the most profound and difficult and rewarding experience, just experiencing, all extremes. Just went through a death experience. Woke up in the womb of Mother Gaia, of the jungle. In that moment, I have never felt so loved in my entire life. I did not want to leave that space, and I could feel the medicine slowly pushing me out. You got to go back into the world. And so, death, rebirth, ended up having, what I'm going to say is a Kundalini Awakening, for lack of a better, for maybe another way to put it. But actually feeling the energy rise through the spine, out through the crown, and it was orgasmic. It was ecstatic. It was, I think, that awakening is what really turned me on.
I mean, that's the thing. And that's the thing to me that's like so amazing, because I've heard many stories. I've heard people have like experiences where they're like, wow, we should build a center and bridge this, but no one actually does it. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And
it's much harder.
Right?
Than
Especially
you could ever imagine. Yeah.
But see, maybe, I don't know if you're a little bit naive, perhaps, when you actually, that would have helped you. You know what I mean?
It did. And it had to be that way, you know. And looking back, of course, it's, everything unfolds the way it needs to.
Yeah.
And so after the 3 ceremonies, I had so much to process, so much to integrate into my life. And it wasn't actually my idea at first to do the center. It was a friend of mine that came with us, and she, planted that seed. And at first I was like, no, that's not for me. That's a little too hardcore. But, you know, as I, you know, spent several months at home after that first trip, I was like, yes, absolutely.
What were you doing at home? Like, where were you?
You know, I was waitressing. I was working in restaurants, doing catering work. So, you know, getting by.
Yeah.
Also working on a piece of land, doing self-sustainability, built an earth ship and a greenhouse. Cool. So that was kind of the direction I wanted to go originally. Right. And that moved down to Peru.
Right, exactly. That's what I was going to say. You sort of went the direction anyway of living off the land, building. It's amazing. Yeah. But yeah, it blows me away that you dropped everything and you just came down here. You know, and they're not really easy conditions to be in, you know. No, this is pretty hard. And different language. The Peruvians aren't very organized, let's say, you know. And you just push through it. I mean, you've been here for how long now?
10 years. It's my 10-year anniversary next month.
Really? Yep. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's been a
That's a long time.
Amazing journey.
But, you know, do you feel isolated as well?
It is a bit of a bubble, yeah. I would definitely say that, and that has its pros and cons like anything else. So, it's been beautiful, but now my spirit is feeling like I need to take these gifts even outside of the bubble and be able to do both. And so I can personally grow more as well, because our path never stops, you know.
Exactly, I agree. And that's the thing, and you can take all the things you've learned, which I think it needs to be done. And this is what we're doing here. It has to be done, you know what I mean? It's great to be here in this bubble and have all these people come through, but we got to hit a grander audience. Absolutely. Really, you know what I mean? Because this is what it's all about. And we all want to be conscious. We all want to, you know, inspire those next to us to also be conscious. So we can all, you know, elevate and our frequency can raise together.
Absolutely.
And that's what it's about. So, you know, the fact that you actually went through with it and you put yourself through so much shit.
Yeah.
You know, it's incredible. Because I don't think anyone has really ever done it, you know?
Well, everyone...
They dream about it, perhaps, but, you know, that's what I'm saying, actually going through with it and doing it. And so, over the 10 years, I mean, geez, you would have been witness to so many transformations and it's so affirming, right?
Yeah.
Over the years. But, so you were waitressing, right?
I was.
How did you even afford to do any of this?
Little by little. It was very grassroots in the beginning. So I had some credit cards. I was like, well, let's do this, you know, and just trust that it's all gonna work out the way it needs to. And you know, and it was very small, you know, and slow at first. So just, you know, built the Maloka first, and then we did a kitchen, and then a couple tombos, and, you know, a shower. Because back in the day, I mean, when we first started, we were bathing in the lake or in a canoe, and you know, we were completely off grid, so there's no refrigeration.
So how long were you guys like that until you got it to, let's say, to a point where you could receive guests from the very beginning?
You know, not long, a year. Yeah, a year. We even had our first group. They stayed in another house in the village, our first retreat, and then the second one, was a year after we built the Maloka.
Well, because it's tough too. You not only building the things, you need to find like responsible, respectable people to work, especially shaman, because you know how that goes. That can go.
And we were very fortunate at first. Like everything fell into place. You know, we hired people in the village, and you know, we, you know, had our connections, had the shaman there, and it really did. It was like Spirit was taking care of us and guiding us all the way through.
Yeah, perfect. You spoke Spanish before you got here?
I did. Fairly well. Definitely to get me by. So that was a bonus,
All right, cool. That's amazing. Because being the gringos, you know, it's even more trickier, I'd say, because nobody really likes the gringos coming through, and especially setting up a center.
You know, and it surprised me because I feel like people were much more receiving.
Were they?
They were really receiving, and there was reciprocity, you know, with what we were doing, and it wasn't just, you know, hiring people in the village, but we started doing an MMS, a health program using Miracle Mineral supplement, and literally saving lives with this. And so, you know, and that has just turned into a huge program we now have, and reaching, you know, thousands of people in the surrounding area and really elevating the health of the community.
Yeah, right. It's an amazing response, because the people out here, they don't really have anything.
They don't really have access to decent health care here.
Where did you guys come across MMS?
You know, I found it in Arizona
Really?
from a holistic doctor. Yeah.
Oh, for real? And then you just brought it down here, or you just used it, or whatever, and then you brought it down. Okay, so MMS is just it oxidizes your body, so then in turn just boosting your immune system, so then your body starts to, you know, actually fight these illnesses or bacteria on its own. So
we couldn't have survived here without it.
Yeah, right.
It
I know,
really
it's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even I've personally seen the amount of, well, the stories the people tell me, you know, from the MMS, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
Literally saving lives, you know. So, yeah.
It's been a special part of this whole experience.
Right. Not only are you transforming lives through ayahuasca, because I mean, you know, I've been here for some time, and just seeing people and their journeys, you know, they come in, these just, you know, they just can't even speak and just completely closed off, and they leave just beaming.
Yeah.
And that's why I do it, because I believe and I see the transformation happen, and
it's that in itself that's kept us going.
Yeah,
because there was, you know, it was hard along the way to be in the conditions and just taking on all this on an energetic level and facilitating this for others to heal. And but yeah, at the end of the retreat, they're just like, this was the most amazing experience of my life.
Yeah.
I feel like I've healed in so many ways. Don't ever stop what you're doing.
It's a real privilege, right?
What can fulfill your heart more than seeing that? And so that was the gift.
Exactly. Even though it's so difficult, it's way more heartwarming than like waitressing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But, you know, it's amazing. But as well, let's go back to like your younger days, right? You said that you were just going to college or the end of high school, and you just started seeing that things weren't quite the way they were.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, who thinks like that though? Do you know what I mean?
Well, I always had this deep, like, kind of this dissatisfaction that I felt in my life. Like,
is it something you've always had, do you think?
Perhaps.
Do you think it's brought on perhaps by like how your parents treated you, brought you up maybe?
Yeah, absolutely. That had part to do with it, you know, and I know they did the best they could, and I love them deeply, but you know, everyone, they're learning as they go, and so my diet was awful as a child, you know, so I had some health problems growing up, and I think that kind of like led into the depression that I was experiencing, and
at a young age you were experiencing depression already?
Yeah, since like junior high. Really? I remember starting to feel that quite intensely.
See, because that would really trigger a lot for you already.
Yeah.
And that will help you to start to see that things aren't quite the way they are. Well, because you really don't have any other options to see anything. I know for me, that's how I found you and this center, was just because I was depressed.
Yeah.
And I just knew there was only one way to get out of it, and it was just to go up or to change. And I'm like, I heard about ayahuasca, and it's like, yep, that's it, I'm doing it. Anything at this point in time to change how I feel.
And it's so much more than you could ever imagine. Like, that's what's so special about it, you know, because you can only really just, you know, use your imagination, you know, maybe try to compare it to other psychedelics, but nothing compares to this.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing, it's so true. Like, I try and explain it to people when I go home, and there's not even words to explain it, because it's like nothing that's ever happened. And so much happens, so much is compressed into this short period of time. It's tough, but it's real. And it feels more real than this 3D reality that we live in.
Yep.
It's complete connection to everything. It's almost like, you know, you push your mind out to the side and you're completely instinctual, you know? And I guess like an animal to an extent, and you can just see how things really are, the energy, and the veil is completely removed. And it's incredible. I must, like, and I keep coming back. I've been coming back and forth for, you know, 8 years or whatever it is. So yeah, I believe in it just as much as you guys. And
it's truly like just such a beautiful opportunity to be able to connect on a cellular level and just, like you said, the veil is lifted and you have the opportunity to just connect with Mother Gaia. You can connect with these higher realms, different multidimensional beings. I mean, it's all real, it's all possible. And
I'd assume that's what would happen once you pass away, you'd be complete spirit, and that's where you'd be at. I mean, and the connection between yourself and others too on a soul level, that is, it's all part of the same, but it's just like, this is just our body, and we all connect on that heartfelt soul level, and it's, like you said, it is more than we could ever imagine.
Yeah.
It's so expansive.
And that's what I'm seeing with a lot of guests, and what happened, to myself, because we hear these concepts, all is one, all is God,
Right.
and really for a lot of people, that's just words in their head. It's a concept, and you have the experience, the opportunity to experience that when you're in the medicine. And that's really like, why this awakening is happening, because people are, feeling that on such a deep soul level, like you said, and then they can go out into the world and, they are already vibrating differently. They are giving off another frequency, and they are able to go out and be more in that loving space and stay more in that loving space, but it's continual work and keeping yourself in check. And
exactly, I think it's a really good catalyst, like we say, it's the greatest, it just really throws you in there head first, and then you can't help but just wonder and continue, with your life. I mean, obviously, like you say, you got to develop your practice, and you got to keep up with it. It's not convenient to be having ayahuasca every other day. You really have to live here. Yeah,
it's so important to process and integrate. I mean, and that's really where the real work comes. We always tell the guests, you've been, through some very powerful experiences here, but it's not until you go home when the real work starts. Can you apply these things you've learned in the medicine?
Right.
So,
because that's the thing. I mean, what do we all want? Innately, we all want to feel happy, right, within our lives. And, and as that occurs, we just want to see the truth, really. And, and that's just the thing. It's taking ayahuasca is wonderful, but we always come back down again.
Yes.
So that's, like I said, it's not convenient to us in our everyday life to be having it all the time. So we got to figure out what's that way to always stay on that even keel, or vibrating at that frequency. And yeah, it's in the food, it's in our own practices, it's the whole deal. It's
a complete life change for many people. They're changing their circle of friends, they may be relating with their family differently. Definitely diet, that pretty much affects most people, wanting to eat cleaner. And
well, you just learn to respect yourself and actually honor yourself, not as a human being but as a soul. And also this is our body, so we've got to take care of it. This is our vessel. But yeah, totally. Like I went home, all of my friends changed. I was just not around these toxic environments or people that I was tolerating so much before. And it got a little bit lonely at times. I'm gonna admit it. But wow, it's so liberating. I don't even know who that other guy was back in the day.
That's how I feel about myself too.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you still in contact, like you speak to your dad sometimes, or when you go home, he probably wouldn't even recognize you anymore, right? I know, it gets really, but it's amazing, and people like us and everyone, we're out here, and we're conscious, and we're trying to do the best we can, and by us doing our work, we're unconsciously allowing the others to also do the same. And we don't have to do it by telling, just by being. That's what I've realized, you know. I think words just get in the way all the time.
Living your truth. Living your truth. And when you can do that, you're giving off that frequency. It's going to allow other people to feel more comfortable to do the same.
Right. I mean, they don't even know why.
Lifting each other up.
This is it. Yeah. This is it. And this is the vision for the new earth, right? And we all need to elevate our own consciousness in order for all this to occur, for us to be living in this higher dimension.
Yeah. And I really feel like it's everyone's innate duty to do their self-work. And however, that works for them, some people won't have anything to do with plant medicines or psychedelics, But there's so many different avenues to help raise your vibration and your frequency.
I totally agree.
And to really live in your truth.
It is our duty. It really is, and I never really understood that. But now it is. We have to do it. I mean, really, to me, I mean, what else is there?
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, why are we really here?
Yeah.
Why are we really here?
All these material things. I mean, I don't. You know, that's just secondary. You know, that's a means to live, and then we all get carried away with it. You know. But, yeah.
I'm excited for the future. I think, you know, just doing this work for 10 years and seeing, you know, kind of globally where we are, you know, from 10 years ago. I mean, yeah, we knew we were going to be stepping into some tumultuous times, you know, that's a given. I mean, we have to like break down the old, you know, we got to purge that out. So it's happening on this collective level. It's coming out in our political systems and our, you know, all of that. So, yeah, and I feel like there's a second wave of people awakening right now. So those of us that have been through it now, we're here to help carry them through, and it's all going to be helping each other.
Exactly. So. You know, and then by the time our children come through, you know, they'll be well equipped.
Yeah.
You know, that's the new children, the new generation. You know, so it's not too far away. You know,
it's really not. I mean, I know that things are going to get ugly here and there, but, you know, I also believe, like, those things are happening because they need to play out. People are going to learn what they need to learn out of it.
It's going to wake a lot of people up, I feel, you know.
It is.
And these things need to happen because we don't really have a lot more time. We need to hurry up.
That's why I feel like we're in fast track mode right now. Let's just get her done and get through this, and so we can start living more in harmony with Earth, with each other.
Exactly. We've been in the dark for too long now, you know. And I'm excited, you know. I have full faith that things are going to turn around. Well, I believe so. I'm connecting the dots, you know. I think they already are.
Yeah.
They're really exciting. I feel it. It's really accelerating. Just even within myself, you know, just the leaps and bounds I've been taking over these past few months, even you know. So, you know, we'll see what happens. We're not getting attached to anything, you know.
I'm excited. I mean, I can feel the difference just in reality, or you know, there's been some really big shifts that have happened, you know, and so it's just it really is. It comes back to, you know, how are you going to lead your day, you know, set some intentions when you start the day, you know, to live your highest joy, and really that is our duty, and it's amazing how much we get out of helping one another, you know, but then knowing when to take that time to yourself, to recharge, to process, to integrate, and it all flows.
It does. It does. And, you know, the biggest thing that I've sort of learnt through that process, through the integration, is just being gentle with myself. It's so important that us, even just as human beings, that we take it easy on ourselves, because we are so hard on ourselves.
We're so self-critical, so judgmental. There's
no need for this, and that's part of the thing. And if there's one thing I've realized through all this work, it's just it's love. Love is all there is, right? And if that's where you're coming from, you know, if you really truly see the divinity within yourself, then you see it within everybody else, you know, and that just changes everything, because when you start to change the way you look at things, these things actually start to change right before your eyes. So that's what I was going to actually ask you, is like, after having so many ayahuasca ceremonies, has it made it quite a little bit more dicey or tricky to just live within this reality? Do you sometimes maybe, like, I won't say forget or lose where you are, you know, in terms of being in this reality or being in like ayahuasca space? I know lots of people that do LSD can really get lost between.
Well, that's it's a very interesting question, and you know, it's interesting because, you know, living here and, you know, running retreats all the time, so feeling the energy coming from the guests and all that, and so it's required a lot of grounding, and really making sure you take that personal time to, you know, be with yourself and to meditate and to ground, so that you can kind of live in both worlds and feel like, you know, you can handle those energies. You're grounded. And,
because I mean, process. Even the energies in itself was something that really it was really tricky for me, because, you know, I know a little bit about energy, but it was like when guests come through, you can actually feel their anxieties, their fears, even their joys, and that was really hard for me, at the beginning. Like, I didn't know what to do with that. I actually was so confused. I thought it was just mine. I didn't even recognize.
Absolutely. That happened with me too. You know, I'm a highly sensitive person and an empath, and so just really feeling the heaviness of all of that and learning how to work with those energies and how to just transmute it and let it flow out of me.
Yeah, so. I know. It's all a journey, right?
Yeah.
And it's all learning.
Yeah, so much learning.
And that's the thing, and that's like what you were saying. It's like, you think you're coming here for one thing, or, you know, you think you know what ayahuasca is, but it's so much more. And what I want to say is that it's the same for life. You know, we think we know what we're doing, we think we're in control, but once we let go of all of this, we actually just start to get into the flow of things, and like, you start to feel your energetic body, you know, you can really feel yourself. And like, I can feel your energetic body, and I can start to see auras, and these are things that were never in my mind, you know. I never grew up with any of that. I grew up a Catholic boy, you know, we were separate from God. And here I am, you know, understanding that I am God. That was just,
That's huge. And it comes with a lot of responsibility.
Right,
too.
Right. And I think I was really fairly afraid of that. I ran from that for a long time.
And that's a big reason why I wanted to do the center, you know, like, you know, I really wanted to make this available for others because, you know, I felt like we all had this innate responsibility, but like for myself, I knew, you know, I had a lot of healing to do and a lot of processing to do, and I needed a lot of medicine, you know, in those first years. And
so essentially it was like you set it up more just so you could have a safe, comfortable place to do it.
That was part of the reason, and, you know, because of my experience downriver and how rustic it was and raw, coming out with literally probably about 500 mosquito bites. And I was like, okay, there's a way to bridge, you know, the beauty of the Amazon and the nature, but being in a, you know, in a building, like, you're not going to be pummeled by mosquitoes, and you know, there's a proper toilet seat, you know. So you can have both. You can have both for sure.
Because that's the thing. I mean, you're out in the middle of nowhere under a mosquito net. Ayahuasca is so intense. And here you are, just...
I mean, I was just lost. I was lost out.
Jungle.
I could hear the shaman singing somewhere. I just had a blanket around me, trying to keep the mosquitoes off. Like, just in, I don't know, just in a bunch of plants. And then, you know, purging. I can't get up. I can't find my flashlight, my water bottle. You know, it's like, where's my stuff?
Right.
I'll just sit here longer. You know,
right, until I can gather myself together. Wow, amazing. Yeah. But Jill, thank you so much, and thank you for doing this. Thank you for actually persevering and actually like getting a credit card out and starting this. I mean, that's crazy.
It had, you know, I just
you just went for it, and that's like to me, that's actually where the magic is.
Oh, thank you.
You didn't even think twice. You're just like, this has to be done, and like you said, it's your responsibility. You took responsibility for it. For us. And you know, you're responsible for, I could say, thousands of people's transformation. Many thousands of people.
I feel very grateful to have been just blessed to be on this path. It's given me the greatest gifts.
So thank you for your courage. We all appreciate it. And thanks for being here. This is the Being Human Experience.